This is AV SuperFriends Off the Rails, an almost regularly scheduled open discussion on audio and video in higher education. We'll sound off about our most brilliant ideas, our dumbest mistakes, and everything in between. And because this conversation will almost certainly go off the rails at some point, we'll end up covering just about everything else. And now, the AV SuperFriends. For August 4th, 2023, it's the AV SuperFriends Off the Rails. Welcome back, everybody. Time for another Friday afternoon podcast adventure with the AV SuperFriends. Hello. My name is Chris Dector. I'm joined today by Jamie, Mark, Larry, and Justin. On today's show, we're going to discuss why building better conference rooms might be a bad thing and why some people are giving up on NDI. But first, let's do the news. And this article comes from... You can't make your own sound effects in the background.
I can, too.
Because he just did.
Allowed to.
Then get a bigger budget.
Yeah, we need a
You want to just start hitting sound effects buttons here?
This is the news.
All right, here's the news. Ready? Mm-hmm. There. It's the news.
Wait.
That was Jamie's house.
Hold on.
Yeah, that was Jamie's house.
All right. I lost track of what the hell I was doing. All right.
What are we doing?
The news.
What's going on?
Okay,
We're doing
so
the news.
today's article comes from AV Magazine titled, What Do You Really Need to Make Hybrid Work Productive? And this ostensibly is an article is an interview with somebody from Logitech talking about their solutions. To be fair, this guy is right down the middle as far as using the right stuff for the right application in the right space, and it makes sense. What he doesn't do is Justin's favorite thing of take the thing for the small room and put it in the lecture hall and then complain about it.
That's what everybody wants to do.
That's what everyone seems to do because we keep finding that. So fundamentally, the concept here is, hey, if you're going to have hybrid workers and you need to have some sort of equity of experience in a meeting room and then people who are remote get the right gear to do it right. Otherwise, it's kind of a lost time. So I don't know. What do you guys think on this?
Well, what do you think?
Riveting.
Yeah, this is hard hitting for sure. As always, it's like right tool, right place, right? And so,
no, it's the right tool, right job. That's the saying.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, I knew you had that. That's how they do it in Kentucky.
Right tool, right job.
It's very tool focused, though. Like, I think he's missing they don't touch on the larger part of planning your work around the modality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you can plan your meetings, just plan your meetings on days when everybody's in, and that's probably going to be a more equitable experience.
Yeah.
People plan meetings?
Nope, apparently we don't.
We have calendars?
Well, calendars, putting a meeting on a calendar versus planning a meeting. Like, I'm thinking, when you said plan meeting, I'm thinking like, okay.
You mean having like an agenda?
Act 2, intermission, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's like an
so
agenda?
Here, and I know we're going to talk about this here in a few minutes, but if you hold a meeting and you don't have an agenda for the meeting, then why are you holding the meeting?
Exactly. And I think this was an attempt to make it about the stuff, and it was like, no. This is more about your organization. You need to don't blame your ineffective capabilities on the headset or whatever the hell it is you're using or not using for your remote enabled folks. It's how do you communicate? Like, get down to that.
Our meetings are
we
terrible because it's Zoom's fault.
But that's
right?
the cop out, right?
What if you had 7 cameras? Would that be better?
That'd be a better experience.
Yeah,
I would enjoy
7 times
that terrible meeting more.
1 camera versus 7.
See, there's manufacturers who are hearing this, whoever they are, and they're saying, "Oh, you're saying you need more stuff to do in your meetings."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's how they're interpreting it. No, I'm saying we don't need the meetings in the first place.
But Mark, it's on the calendar. We're going to have the meeting regardless. So
exactly.
We need to fill that time. I do want to point out...
That is my point.
I want to point out 2 things in here that I kind of took a little bit of umbrage at. I'm looking for the umbrage.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a drawbridge.
It's a character in a Harry Potter.
Okay.
Exactly.
We don't use that word in Kentucky. I was just
you get shot. You're not allowed to use that.
Harry Potter?
It's much too pretentious.
I'm looking here. It says, where the hell is it? Oh, is there a role for organizations equipping people? Well, the problem is their headings in this and the text look the same, and it's just bad typography. Is there a role in organizations in equipping people at home for hybrid work, and are there budgets for this? And they're basically saying that, hey, if you have people who are permanent work from home, you should buy them stuff to so they can be successful at home. I disagree with that. I would say, yes, I put that stuff in your office, show up to fucking work.
Well, I would say I would argue Chris is half right.
Spicy.
The same stuff that should be in your office could also work at home.
Why?
Decide.
Why can't they show up to work?
Do you attend Zoom meetings in your office? Yes.
Yes.
I
I
think
go down the hall and stand next to the person on Zoom.
What tools at home do you need that are different than your office?
I need a better mic so you can hear the dogs barking and the lawnmower.
I'm looking around at my office, and there's nothing different that I have here versus my office at work.
Yeah, but
which you haven't been to.
You guys are focusing on that almost hoteling style. I'm here and I'm there and I'm here and I'm there and I'm here and I'm there. I think what they're looking at is the corporations, the people that have been deemed like, we shut the office building down. You will work from home, but we're not buying you the stuff you need to be successful there. Now they may have an office. They may have an office where you go into a conference room, or you have one of those hoteling damn spaces where it's just really a folding table out in the middle of the floor. Okay,
it's
great.
a nice desk. It's not a folding table.
But if they're providing you with a laptop and a monitor and a keyboard and a mouse and a chair already, why not give you a decent little webcam?
Wait.
Right?
Keyboard, mouse, chair?
It's just standing only.
You don't get those things with your computer?
No.
The chair, maybe not, but you don't get a
Chairs
keyboard and mouse with your
winners.
computer?
Chairs are for
winners. Gotta earn that chair.
Wait,
earn the right to sit down around here.
You know, a lot of these places, and universities are doing it too, where it's cheaper real estate just to buy you a complete office kit to put in your office at home than it is to give you a real estate office.
Yeah, we're actually having a discussion right now.
In that case, I don't care, right? Let them have it. I want to send stuff home with people. It cost us, what, $200? I mean, come on.
We're having a discussion right now with people who are permanent work from home, but still, for whatever reason, have offices on campus, and we're just taking them away from them.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing. That's a space in the final frontier, man. There's a lot of auditing going on.
Yeah.
And they should not be upset about it. Are they upset about it?
I don't know. I've never actually met them. I've only worked there for 3 years.
No, they lose their alternate Amazon drop-off facility when they don't have their office anymore. Yeah, so they can't.
It makes
get those
Christmas
packages.
much
Christmas
harder.
difficult. Yeah, exactly.
Makes it great for us. We got all this free shit at the office.
Site.
Look at this stuff. It's great.
There's definitely a lot of energy put into like the stuff when arguably we don't need to be making it as complicated as it is, and I think that is going to go into the next level of conversation we'll have. There's many folks I would rather them just call into the meeting from a phone rather than watch them fumble through all the bullshit trying to make it work. And then ultimately, can you just put your stuff in the chat, because I don't want to hear you or see you. Just what are you trying to say? Just type it in there for me. And then, why did we have this meeting at first place? Couldn't that just have been an email? Like, what are we doing?
One other thing I did want to point out here is there is a comment here about room systems, and it says room systems, and I'm just waiting for, I'm not going to say who, but somebody that I'm looking at right now is going to like freak out when I say that, when I read this. But room systems such as Microsoft Teams rooms provide a consistent experience for employees, acting as a continuation of a familiar interface that end users know through their desktop device. Now, this is a great way of supporting hybrid working, as end users don't need to trouble themselves with learning how to use a new system and are welcomed with a familiar experience as soon as they go to join a call. I will just respond to that by saying, this dude has never used a fucking Microsoft Teams room or Teams because
no.
Following the ITIL best practice, shitty service for everybody is the same as good service.
But a Teams room does not operate the same way as Teams desktop. They're different, and it pisses me off to no end because now the button's over there, but in this room it's over there. So good effing luck.
Yes, they are a little different.
But it's just like your office. Oh, the files in Teams, Chris. It's in there. Go find it.
The files are in the computer.
Yeah. I added to our chat.
The fact that anybody would say that Teams rooms provides a consistent experience, a shitty one.
Exactly. I mean, that statement's
but you can
not
use two
false.
cameras now.
I'd rather slam my hand in a car door for 45 minutes than attend another meeting.
I am excited about that, though.
Yes.
Watching Chris slam his hand in a car door? Me
no,
too.
I'm excited about the two-camera thing.
The two-camera thing, like Zoom has had for like 7 years. What
happened to the 7 cameras?
I can't directly
you guys need more
share
stuff
out
to
of
do in your
PowerPoint,
meetings.
but I get spatial audio.
Ooh.
And all my content is now the wrong aspect ratio and too small. So
everybody else is very tiny on the side of the screen also.
You do get a consistent experience through all Teams rooms.
There's also avatars. Don't forget that there's avatars in there you can make yourself. So that, I mean, Chris, that's right up your alley, bud. I know how you like to have a nice avatar.
I'm just waiting for Microsoft Teams Rooms goggles. You have to be wearing the goggles to join the
somebody's
room.
like feverishly
someone just
scribbling
wrote that
right
down.
now. Like, oh shit.
Yeah. $1 million idea. We'll retire tomorrow.
There's some lawyer sending you a cease and desist. You're not supposed to release that yet.
Mm-hmm. No, there's somebody registering that domain.
The avatars are wearing goggles if you wear the goggles to join Teams.
That's what you need. So that will work first.
Some kind of weird black hole area of AR,
my
VR.
God.
Black
Layers
hole
of the
Microsoft
onion
stuff. Yeah.
Inception.
Where was this article talking about again?
I don't remember. Something about
something about
getting Christmas presents at
meetings.
Work. I don't know. I'm going to push a button. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to yell more about conference rooms and conference room systems. How about this button? That was the wrong button.
Wrong button.
As many of you know, the Super Friends have always been better received when we have more input from you. So, here's your chance. Send us a note at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com and get involved with the show. We're looking for some topics to discuss, some fellow nerds to talk to, or just general AV awesomeness to brag about. But remember, we'll probably steal your ideas. And I suppose we'd take some criticism, but that wouldn't be very nice. Anyway, drop us a note at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com and find out how quickly we ask you to join this nonsense.
Yeah, I think, Mark, this was your topic, kind of this like complaint about meetings being the, first of all, let's define meeting. A meeting is the practical alternative to work, right? That's if you don't have anything else to do for the day, hold a meeting.
Yes, also known as a time tax.
As part of the
is a time tax given by insecure leadership.
Ooh, burn.
This is very black and white statements about meetings, though. Like, not all my meetings are this bad.
No, I think if you polled just go out and find the first 10 people out in your office, go, I'll wait, and just ask them, how do you feel about meetings? Do you have enough of them on your calendar? Would you like more? And just get the general consensus.
Are you just like distributing
speaking, them? You're correct, Mark, but all meetings...
I agree with you. They are a waste of time. Yes. So you're the one that said it, Justin. So don't. No, but I think we're inundated with too many meetings. And when I read that last article, my takeaway was like, am I doing a disservice to the organization by continuing to provide the number one growth segment in my portfolio, which is the small to medium conference space? Am I furthering the nonsense where if people invest in this capability, do they feel like they have to now use it, therefore make more meetings for everybody in their organization? Like, have we gone crazy with deploying too much meeting collaborative technology in spaces that didn't have them? And everybody's use case is, we have a lot more remote workers. Okay. I'm not installing conference rooms at their house.
Oh, it's coming.
But you should.
Maybe, but so I reflected. I was like, man, are we part of the solution, or are we enabling the problem here by making more widgets and stuff? Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. I do my best to not deploy complicated spaces, very simplified conference rooms. I do believe there is a point where just doing this stuff because everybody just thinks they want it is probably not helping. I think we are at that point, the saturation point, where our capability exists pretty much ubiquitously across campus. How much more of this do we need at this point?
So I guess let me ask you this, Mark. Why do you think there are so many requests for meeting rooms these days? Because I know what the answer is on my campus, and it may not be the same as yours.
I believe that there's a genuine thought that we must have dedicated space to communicate with those people that we've deemed remote to empower that workforce.
With those people we don't want to talk to.
So it's really
we must have dedicated
facility.
We must have dedicated facility and space carved out to meet that need. But I don't think we do. I mean, arguably, what happens when you walk into a conference room or one of your Zoom rooms and it's down? everybody says, oh, we'll just go back to the office and jump on the call anyway. If everybody has the same capability in their office, what are we doing? Why are we making more of these conference spaces? And like, I'm sure people are furious at me right now, and that's okay. No. Be furious at me. I'm totally fine with that. I felt bad after reading. I was like, man, it was kind of a reflective state. I was like, man, am I helping or am I hurting? What's going on here?
Well, you're not wrong. What I'm seeing on my campus is an increase of those small meeting spaces simply due to the fact of our budgeting model, where departments are not allowed to share spaces anymore. And so by separating and creating these new silos, they have to have their own conference room that they can control and schedule.
That seems like some Wild West shit right there. Like that seems weird to me that departments are not allowed to share stuff.
Yeah, it's called the ramp model.
Oh, no. They're allowed to. They just don't want to.
Right.
No, they're not allowed to. They're like, this is my space. You're not allowed to come into my space because
Kentucky justice.
We are biology, and this is biology. You are chemistry. You go to your own conference room.
Wow, who polices that? They
the deans. Do you guys have like civil wars through your hallways in the buildings?
So with the ramp model,
the dean goes around the checkbox.
Service entity.
What department?
And we are providing services to all these departments, and they pay us like you pay rent. You pay your electric bill. You pay your water bill. So we're getting.
So you're just building bathrooms. You're just building a bunch of bathrooms for people. They all want their own bathroom.
If we get a request to build a bathroom, well, we're going to send that to facilities. But if we get a request to build a conference room,
high quality network enabled shitter. Yep, I get it.
Because that's just a service we provide for them. And we're seeing more conference rooms getting built because, hey, we used to share this, but they took it from us. So
but they smell.
But have you created an arms race in doing so? Because I've had deans that have approached us saying, "I want to have the nicest conference room. I want my dean's office to be better than X dean's." We've had that.
I've heard that one.
We have had it. Like, I want to have the best of best, and it's like I want to just give you the thing that you're not going to call me about. That's what I want to give you.
What I've heard a lot is, well, I'll do a conference room for a dean, and the dean's like, "Oh my God, I had no idea this technology existed. You need to do this in the president's office because, oh boy, their conference room is really bad."
Are we like at that technology one-upsmanship thing? Is that going on?
I'm getting that now. Like, so
a little bit.
We recently redid the president's conference room. Now, to be fair, the previous one was trash.
Does everybody have the president's conference room?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just making sure.
Yeah. Well, technically, it's a boardroom. So yeah. As I've been corrected several times. Yeah, the boardroom. But I have had a number of deans now say, well, I need to do mine. And granted, some of these are due. They have stuff in them and they need a slight refresh, but they're like, but I want something like that.
Because that was a good experience. Or is it, I want that because it's shiny. You know, what's the reason why they want it? Was it because it was a good experience? Then actually you did your job.
It's more just straight up pissing match.
Then that's a different problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm finding it a little different. It's not even a one-upmanship problem. It is more. It's almost like they're requesting in boardrooms in particular, executive conference rooms in particular, trying to find ways to get people in person. And so if only one or two people are gone and they're, what is that, fear of missing out? If they're FOMO. Because they're the only ones that aren't in this meeting, maybe it will entice them to come back, right?
To actually show up to work.
To be in person.
That's an interesting take. That's an interesting take on it. So,
but they're still able to not be remote. Now, ironically, sometimes it is the leader of said group that is the only remote participant, and everybody else is there.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Which also cracks me up. Like,
a lot.
And there's the dean on the giant 100-inch monitor, looking like Oz, and everyone else sitting around the table looking at the beach.
Yeah, here nor there. And I'm also finding that even though they ask for all the conferencing stuff, after one or two uses of the conferencing stuff, they've run into the same thing that we've just brought up. It's easier just to be in our offices, but they are using the crap out of it as a presentation and data analytics device, which is what it should be.
It should be. A question for y'all. Like, let's just do a little. Let me roll out this bear trap so we can all step in it here.
We already talked about
when
7
you're
cameras.
doing your needs analysis and you're meeting with a client. do you ever bring up that you say you need a conference room? How many people do you think are always going to be in this conference room? Like, is there should the door not open unless you have a certain amount of people capable of going into that room? You scan all 3 of the badges, then the door opens and you can use the space. Like, is that ever part of your equation? Like the minimum use to turn it on? Like, you have to have people, because you all, like, nothing worse than like one person at the ass end of a real long conference room. Like, why are you in that room? Go to your office. What are you doing? Like,
we can't do that because we're not Nazi Germany. But
what? What are you saying about Oregon State?
I'm not saying we do that.
Everybody, with our ramp model and the budgeting model, everybody owns their own space. And so by IT saying, or anyone else saying, you cannot use your space you pay for.
No. That's not what I'm saying. What he's saying is if you want to build a new room, do you have the discussion, even float the idea, maybe y'all don't need a new room?
Like, don't think you need to buy the room just because you have remote workers. That's not a reason to invest in building a space. Like,
that doesn't come up.
You need to say, like, hey, I have 12 on-prem workers, we have regular meeting, and I have 12 at-home workers. I'd like to have a space we could all come together in. Like, does that conversation, usually it comes to me like, oh, we have more and more remote workers, we need a conference room. It's like, so I will say, two things don't equal out.
From a space management, from like a square footage question that does come up, how many total people could conceivably be in the space? Thus, we need X number of square foot to put our conference room in.
But that's already a commitment that we're doing a space.
Going to the next step of technology.
Like, do you ever have part of the equation that I have 6 people that must meet together regularly in this room at the same time and communicate with folks who are remote?
Yeah. I think this is no, I don't.
We don't have that remote.
Yes, I do
here.
ask that question, but nobody ever has a great answer for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Usually it's, well, this is the only room I have, and you can put 8 in here. Well, that's all you can ever have is 8.
Yeah, it's a shoebox they're trying to shoehorn other things into, right?
The only time I get that conversation is when it's, building phases, and I can get in early and have them move walls and stuff. But I think that your original, what kind of started this conversation with you was, yes, I do think we are enabling poor habits in a lot of these places. It's the same argument we had when we started talking about hybrid, high flex, whatever rooms, right? Is it, and a lot of universities are like, well, we need to put these in the 100-seat ones so that we can also have 200 at home.
Right.
Well, and we said that's not a great idea, but we did it anyway, and we have found that we enabled poor teaching practices, not because for all the wrong reasons, but we helped enable it because we're like, well, we're going to make a really bad thing easier to do.
Yeah. Does that extend to the meeting experience? Are we, one, having like folks justify the expense by making more meetings? And then are we actually making poor outcomes from meetings because there's too much focus on the technology?
I think what I'm hearing is, are we responsible for understanding the reasons why someone needs to have a meeting and being able to say no and have that control over it and talk them out of it?
I think you're close.
That's what we're really looking for.
It's the classic IT trap where the focus is put on the stuff, right? This stuff.
Yes.
And it's like, no. Please don't talk about the stuff.
We just try to solve problems.
But a lot of people out there,
without technology, then that's what I'm going to do.
There's good money in prolonging that problem. So,
yeah.
I think that's what
we don't really have that problem with conference rooms at WKU. It's more of a people are stealing spaces and giving up space, and it's space hoarding.
They can't take that space because that's not their space.
You can't have my space. It's my space. I pay for that space. So that's.
I'd like to hear from Larry.
Thing.
Larry, what do you do for conference rooms? I feel like I'm wrong, and you're just sitting there like you're just.
You're not wrong.
Tell him he's wrong, Larry. Tell him he's wrong. Get him.
I think the problem is going to work itself out at some point because universities across the board are going to become space rich soon. Like, we're going to have more spaces and more departments are going to have more.
My wallet has tons of space in it. I can't, it's practically empty.
Space rich.
That is our new website, AVSF Space Rich.
Hold on, let me register it, damn it.
Nice. But seriously, I mean, we're going to have more available space. Departments are going to move into other locations, and we're going to continue to build these things, whether we need them or not. The only thing I was thinking of during this conversation was, wouldn't it be nice if we had general inventory conference rooms?
We're getting that. That's where we are. We're starting to get there, right? And
like, you can have your offices, but if you need a conference room, we'll maintain a set of conference rooms, and you can schedule them and book them and control the cost.
That's where we are. So to me, it's like, what defines the perception of the need to think we need to go into this room and talk about nothing for an hour?
Well,
outside of this podcast.
To Larry's point, though, I think that there are places that have general inventory or shared conference rooms or whatever, centrally supported conference rooms, whatever. But it's an older model to say I've got 7 offices for my faculty and staff here, and then we have a conference room as part of the office suite.
There's an equation for that, actually.
Yeah, there is a space planning model
space
for this.
per FTE.
How many square footage you need for this? Yeah, same things like how many restrooms do you need in a building given occupancy? There's all these numbers for this stuff. But you're not wrong to say maybe you don't need the conference room, and maybe the conference room you need is actually like a huddle space where 4 people go because 8 of them aren't physically there; they're online. And if you need the big one, it's upstairs on the 3rd floor, and you can book it, and IT supports that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's an older model, and I don't think we've been kind of in this widespread acceptance of remote work long enough for kind of construction to tumble to that, because even new buildings that we're doing right now were designed pre-COVID.
Yeah, and I think the technology capability is going to change all of that dynamic of that ratio. Because before, like, think about the old dinosaur 323 days, like, you had these very specifically created rooms that could speak with other very specifically created rooms, and there were earmarked footprint in your space that was for that. They were, we're going to have this, this digital experience in here. And it was very much, we came together to have that because we, at an individual level, didn't have that capability. But now we all do, right? We all have that same capability. So I would expect that supporting ratio for the conference room may change, though there will always be a need for folks to come together in a common venue and share. Like, I get that. That's not what I'm saying here. But I think we're a little bit hyper-focused on all the widgets and bells and whistles of the space, that I think having to manage all that stuff, whatever your room of choice is or whatever configuration, we don't need to make it so complicated. We just really don't.
Right, but it's also a double-edged sword. Like, for example, one of the things I've been doing, I think we've probably all been doing it, not just on this call, but everybody listening right now and yelling at your car stereos, we've all been doing things like replacing the big clunky PTZ cameras with an auto framing camera. Because fundamentally we found out that, first of all,
off.
I think it works pretty well in the right scenario. But first of all, we found
off that shot and you're done. Thanks,
with PTZ cameras, no one effing steered them around anyway.
No.
And then you would say, okay, well, look, here's all the transport controls on the touch panel. First of all, get rid of that shit. Secondly, here's the 3 presets that we set up. We worked with the dean and we found the presets that she likes, and this is what you got. And you find, no, it stays on preset 1, which is where you start the system every time anyway. So we just got rid of that, and now it's kind of an all-in-wonder thing, or it's very small and kind of tucked under the monitor, and it's almost invisible. It does the same job. Yes, I can still see the 8 people in this room that seats 25, and they're all at the far end of the table. And so my auto-framing camera has framed itself all the way down the end of the table, and they're low-resolution Smiro-Vision, but that's what we get.
Why does it look so grainy?
Why do we always seem like we're out of focus? It's weird. No, sit closer to the camera. Anyway, but we've been trying to use new stuff to streamline these, but we still do have that temptation of someone will be like, hey, I saw this, or have you seen one of these, or why don't we have that? And we have that temptation to put in more stuff, and kind of we're digging ourselves right back into the same hole if we're not careful.
If you have a problem with this stuff, let me get you some more.
I got some better stuff. Check this stuff out.
You need more stuff.
We need less stuff.
No, more. It's pronounced more. M-O or more.
Yes. I don't know. Anyway, going back to the original thing, I
that's mooer.
Yeah, just felt guilty.
M-O-or. Mooer.
Less.
Moops. It's pronounced moops.
So did we solve it?
No.
This is just therapy. I just felt guilty for deploying lots of
We need another meeting.
Let's schedule them. Yeah, we'll follow up. Let's debrief at another meeting.
Is this an actual show? Like, is this a meeting about meetings? Is this?
I went ahead and wrote up the notes, and my notes said, we agreed that we enable, but we need to get back together and fix it.
To commit. We can't commit today.
What are we fixing?
We'll take a look at your guys' calendars and find some more time we can waste later on.
Fixing is not within the first hour. That's the third hour. So that's the third meeting. That's in 4
weeks.
weeks.
I didn't realize we were.
No, we're
I
not
didn't
going
realize
to get
we
into
were
solutions finding in the
here.
first meeting. That's not what we're doing.
Okay, I didn't know we were.
We got to first go around the room and introduce everybody. So
this is just a kickoff meeting, guys.
Yeah,
we're just going to set the ground stage, and then we'll think about next steps.
Maybe we can agree while we're here in the first
I'd really like to talk about this like, what do y'all think about BMWs? Since you're all here.
What?
The completely off topic.
Exactly.
How about, can we get to that?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like, oh, you guys won't believe what I did this weekend. I went here and I did this. Like, nobody gives a shit.
I just sorry. I did it. See?
Like that.
It completely got
did
us
exactly
right
what
off.
you wanted.
Is this what your meetings are like?
Proper meeting etiquette.
Yeah.
Stick to the
That's
notes,
called
right, Chris?
Medicaid.
Time to end the meeting.
If you have a quorum in one meeting about one topic, naturally you can hit all the other topics that same quorum facilitates.
I'm done talking about meetings. Let's talk about something else.
Okay.
Can we talk about
Most of us call them quorums, but all right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and talk about some more shit.
Quorums. Hey y'all, I've got this new show I got to tell you about. It's called AVSF Live. That's LIVE exclamation point. First off, all you need to do is go to avsf.live.live, not .com, not .net, but .live. Yes, it's a website, does work. We're going to try out this new live video thing. It's probably going to go over like a hair in a biscuit. You got to check it out. Come to the tweeters and look us up on LinkedIn to find out more information. We'll see y'all soon.
All right, so for our final segment today, we actually debated having this as the news topic, but determined we can't use it as a news topic because it's based on a Reddit post.
Has that stopped us in the past?
Reddit is news.
Yeah.
Whatever. So link in the show notes below.
But its name.
This is from a guy by the name of Avensmz. I have no idea.
If you're listening, let us know if we're pronouncing it correctly.
If your name is
That should be right.
And your avatar is, a little panda bear that's eating pie.
Panda pie, huh? All right. So anyway, the title of this post is "I'm giving up on NDI," and your initial thought was, "Oh yeah." And then as you read through it, and the responses from people are actually very well measured, thought out, and mostly in agreement that. Fundamentally, so again, the link is in the show notes if you want to go down and read the whole thing. But fundamentally, what this person is saying is NDI is great if you have 100% control of everything on the network and it's kind of on its own island. And it seems to work most of the time enough. But damn it, I've been futzing with this thing for 4 years and I'm pulling my hair out and I'm done with it and I'm going on to things that are more reliable. Yeah. Most of which are people saying, screw it, we're going back to SDI because all those same cameras have an SDI port right next to it and SDI works all day long. That's what I'm putting in my classrooms.
That's what I do.
So any thoughts on this? Where are we on NDI as it showed good promise. It's still used in some scenarios. And again, we have people right now yelling at their car stereos that they use it for X, Y, and Z all day long, and that's fine. But
I don't even know if I want you to answer this, Justin.
You know what NDI is to me these
days?
So NDI, Mark told me about NDI. I got real excited. And then here I am struggling with NDI on my own flat network here. NDI is like that donut tire that you don't want to put on your car, but you have to, and you have to drive like 50 miles an hour on the highway, and it sucks. That's like what NDI is to me, is the donut spare tire. It works in a pinch, in small distances, small systems, right? But don't expand on it too much. Don't drive too fast on that donut tire. You're going to have a wreck.
I would think it this way. If it is the donut, you're not going to put 4 donuts on your car.
No, hell no.
Right? That's how I see it. Like, you're not going to ride that.
Hold on.
Yeah.
In Kentucky,
see, that was a good comparison.
I had to
you understand what I'm talking about.
In a pinch, it'll work. Yes, you can get there, but you're not going to build around it as your solution. Just like, man, you know what? I like the way that shitty hubcap looks like. I'm going to get 4 of these sons of bitches in my car.
I'm going to get 4 more of these.
Put them on my Tesla. It's going to look nice.
Stupid.
Like, nobody's going to do that. Right.
No,
everybody here, Jamie, we want to hear your perspective the most on this because you're the one that has deployed it with some level of success.
Yes. I read this post because it's part of the part of the engineering thing, right? I read it the first time, and it is a person who is trying to outfit a multi-space production facility to run 100% on NDI with a software backbone.
You can do it. You can do it.
You can do it. And
you can
I
also
read this whole thing and I went
90 mile an hour on donuts. You don't do
to Chris's thing, you're doing it wrong. Okay, you are trying to run a professional facility, a production facility on equipment that can do it. It's like but what? And then you start digging into it and it's like, well, we bought 10 gig fiber cards, but we didn't actually use those for this. Like, you completely are bonkers. Now, in production facilities, I'm all on board with make it structured cabling, make it 12 GSG, whatever you need, right, to make it work correctly. I think NDI has a big place in not only our industry, but even production. The fact that people can take it to wedding shoots, they can take it to sports streaming games. It's really fast to deploy with one PoE switch. Usually when you reboot these things, they work when they come up. It's when they're long standing and running. I have a whole building running on NDI to run computer backbones and everything else. Mm-hmm. But it does take some massaging, and it just, you're doing it wrong, man. Now,
I got to jump in here, Jamie, because I think you've said a lot of keywords here and buzzwords, and people are like shaking feverishly here. Doing it wrong may not be the exact thing. I think you get what you pay for here, right? Mileage may vary.
That might be fair. Okay.
That I believe at its core, it's about ease of use.
Yes.
And quick up. And I would expect you to take that shit down at the end of the night and break it down and put it back in your van and go somewhere else. So if you're building a facility, you're going to set it up every time you're going to use it. But I'm not going to put that in there as an enterprise-ready solution.
I agree. And I do it on the internet, but it's a onesie-twosie thing, right? It's one camera to one decoder that's on the network. They're basically permanently linked. I even have the decoder doing the 2 and 3 cameras in the room and have that switch pre-computer.
Larry's thinking what I'm thinking here.
What's the benefit of that over just running SDI? Like in both scenarios you've done, the portable setup, and the SDI is more reliable.
But it's doing video and PoE at the same time. You're not wrong.
Who cares?
I get it. Come on.
But in those locations, that one cable solution is a big deal. Right?
Yeah. More so than a reliability?
I know, right? Every time I use it like that, it's fine, right?
Every time,
fine. That's very open to
interpretation. I don't know who said this, but it was easy to use. Easy to use for us, not so much for our clients.
Jamie said ease of use.
Ease of use. Okay.
No, I think that if you bought the dumb Netgear 4230 and you preset it up to DHCP, NDI protocol, and you just plug it all in and the cameras power up, they pull their own address, and all you do is plug your computer in and search.
You just described a non-enterprise network.
Yeah, on an island.
But
correct.
Yes.
On an island.
Therein lies the problem with this. People who try to do this on an enterprise network are going to have to be pushing this boulder uphill. It's not going to just work.
It's the same thing with Dante.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. Dante is pretty easy to use as long as you don't want to try to get outside of its bubble.
I was going to say, to me, NDI is very much like Dante.
It's very much like Dante.
If you're trying to run and gun and get things done quick and have some success, you can do that. Now, some of them have tools.
There are some things crawling up Larry's spine right now.
No, he's into
Larry's getting mad.
I don't see the comparison yet.
You don't see the comparison? I think the natural comparison, they're both readily deployable. I believe that their primary use case is an events world.
See, I have no problem running Dante in every one of my classrooms right now. Like, everyone has Dante. I wouldn't do NDI in every classroom.
I would agree with Larry
across the enterprise?
No, they're all on their own little networks.
That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't do NDI on a known network in a classroom.
I wouldn't either.
Oh,
yeah. I don't see the benefit yet.
I haven't seen the benefit.
Do it at church, because the hell are those people?
I do all the time.
Yeah.
I think it's very neat, a very neat technology that it just doesn't scale readily in my enterprise to be able to do it, to get the benefit of the single plug it in over here and it shows up over there in another building. Like that's just.
But Mark, you can show that camera in the overflow space.
Right.
I don't need that as much as
if
I'm
just
doing
open Zoom and you'd be in the same meeting that everybody else is in.
Yeah, that 2 and 3 and 4 cameras.
Join Zoom.
It's less things that have to go down that infrastructure pipe.
Yeah.
Right? Because NDI, even 1 or 2 cameras is, and if you're using HX, you're even less than 100 megs to get your video stream in. That is okay, right? And power and control and everything's
Jamie.
there.
Would you build 15 to 20 more of those
I already
rooms?
did.
Yeah, he did.
15 to
He
20
has
more.
them. Yeah, he has.
And they're controlled with whack-a-moles.
No, yeah,
I
think that
Whack-a-mole NDI.
That's a fair question. It is a fair question. And here's the deal. I did the building I did before and the systems that I really deployed it big time. NDI was economical, right? I used the Bird Dog products. Cameras were less than $1,500 for a full-blown PTZ with all the other necessary ports to abandon NDI if I wanted to, right? So they're all there. And those Bird Dog minis, $500 a pop, man. I couldn't get AV over IP for that amount. I couldn't do it. And I needed it. Now the pricing structure, the quality, the extra whiz bangs that come on like Visionaries or NVX or whatever with the USB and the AES67 breakout, I probably would not use NDI in that way again as a pure AV over IP distribution for computers for whatever.
Solutions now.
There are better solutions,
cheaper.
Economical solutions now. I can justify the cost to get those things. Now, for the camera systems, I do run the cameras on NDI in almost every space that I'm in because I'm a fan of SDI, so this is not an SDI knock, but that control, power, and good enough video, and I have a network person or personnel that allow me to be able to just pipe this right into the cabinet with the PC. It's just done. It's easy for me. There's no impact. I also, in that particular VLAN that is on the enterprise, I can run Dante on there or AES67. So I do have it all. I am one of the lucky ones.
Is it the same VLAN your PCs are on?
No, PCs are on their own. And I don't run NDI software on the PCs. My biggest hang-up has always been running NDI into a PC for vMix, for OBS.
Isn't that really where you're going to see the value? When I can ingest that AV over IP native on the computer, it will be nice.
That's
what I was hoping NDI was going to be, and the software.
If you have your stuff on that same network, it does work.
Just run 2 NICs, man.
Well, even across out of one VLAN into the PC, I could. Using the access manager and things, I can set that all up. But
you could bridge
my problem is that stupid New Tech, yes, New Tech, I'm calling you out, made their NDI webcam driver have to run on the administrative level, and our people won't allow that. Period. End of statement. So I can't run it if I wanted to. Yeah. And
I've done some neat things in a pinch with it. With like, we have a graphic that's only on this machine over here, and I need to get it into so I can punch it up on this raw switcher over here. I have this computer. Just boom, spin it. There it is. Right. It's a clever tool that does give you capability, but I don't know if it's the tool for like everything. It's really
like
not.
the donut tire.
It's a donut.
It's like it's there when you need it as a tool, but don't use it widely.
It's like it's a Swiss Army
trailer.
Knife. It's a tool capable of doing a lot of stuff, but it's not quite the right tool to do any of the stuff you're going to do with it.
Yeah, and I think that's where it all goes back to this person and the people that complain mightily about it are running in facilities that know you probably chose the wrong thing because it was economical, because it might be cheap or easier on the surface, and realize just like with Dante, just like with a lot of our stuff. It's so easy. Well, on the surface until you actually plug it into the enterprise.
But to me, where it unpacked and really showed people that ease of use and where it was easy was in that events world, right? That's where it really shined to me. Like Dante shines when I throw a stage box up there and one cat back to my front of house.
Yeah.
I'm not lugging around 400,000 pounds of cable in my truck. Like, it's easy to go, and it does auto IP. I'm not having to manage network to make it go. NDI will do that same type of thing for you, but understand that situation is not an enterprise situation. It's just not.
So, yeah, I think we mostly agree, and then
so you're all in.
Very
you're
viable.
all in on NDI is what I'm hearing.
No,
Larry's still
no,
bring on more of it.
I'm not mad. I don't care.
He's like, I'm going to do whatever you want. You ain't doing it here. Yeah.
I'm doing SDI, BNC connectors
like,
everywhere.
I'm not doing NDI for nothing.
I am more selective about. I am not as maverick about deploying it. I am more selective about where I deploy it and how I deploy it. I also now know what tools work, what don't.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is that knowledge is going to be specific to everybody's individual institution and the infrastructure and the personnel they have operating that and that sort of thing. And I know in your particular case, you are in the same group as the networking team, so there's some partnership there already built in because you were in. I mean, that was the scenario when I was there 10 years ago. It was part of that group.
Yeah, I just send them a quick text and I get what I want.
Yeah, the rest of us, I'm going to say the rest of us. For many of us, while we're all part of the larger IT institution, there is some, let's say, friction maybe there between putting stuff on the network versus on a network. Because, yeah, I can do the same thing all day. It's like, I'll set up these 8 ports on my managed switch to be my network. It ain't going anywhere. I'll plug anything I want in there all day long and it works. What I don't get is that magic promise of the flexible routing, the changing of the layouts and things that you need to be able to talk to those devices to a computer and other things to do it right. So
to that point, if any of you are changing jobs and going to a new institution and you want to learn your network team really fast, just go ahead and plug some NDI or some Dante or something like that into your network, and you will find out your core people that you should know real fast. Don't bother waiting for all their stuff.
Have I guys told you that story about
get a used bi-amp AVB device
and just dump that in there,
just
and you'll find out who your contact points really are. Yeah.
However,
NDI
do not do it.
Wouldn't hurt the enterprise network. Enterprise network hurts NDI. That's what I found out.
But do not plug HD-based-T into your network.
Unless you want to meet your network engineers really quick, do
that.
You will meet them, but they will come at you with sticks.
Yes.
So.
But NDI actually doesn't crash the enterprise network.
I haven't tried that.
You've never done that? Let's do it. Do it now.
Jamie, unknowingly, that's where it happened, was over at the Block School in 2013. So.
Well, I know I've done AVB, but not HD-based-T, and I've plugged HD-based-T into the network, but I've not had it trigger.
You can have rapid span tree stuff real quick.
You want to see how quick that network responds to that.
We got that. We did that years ago, and it was they're like, "Hey, do you know any of this manufacturer?" And it was like, "Who made the chipset? You have a piece of gear with this manufacturer spewing all that." Do you know? And it wasn't even like the Tron company. It was like deeper than that. We're like, "I don't know how you're talking about." And they're like, "Yeah, turn it off." We're like, "Well." Where is it?
We don't know what you're
find it.
about.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
I had that call last fall where they're like, "Hey, we're pretty sure it's in this room, but it's not." Like one of the headers in the packet was not properly reporting, so they couldn't exactly source where it was. It's like I can go over and just start unplugging stuff, but that doesn't tell me what device is actually just throwing that traffic around the network. So,
but I think like any of these technologies, jump in because I think you're going to learn some real core skill sets. Pick NDI, pick whatever you want to call it, whatever one AV over IP, pick one, play with it, go in there. You're going to learn a lot. I'm not saying deploy it everywhere, but get one and try and understand what it would mean for you to make this work on your enterprise.
You're
network.
saying, but start in a limited environment.
You will learn more if you deploy it everywhere, though.
You will, yes. Like understand
You'll learn more faster
because I think it's going to demand that you change your lexicon and how you communicate with your IT folk and your core network. Because
are you saying maintaining an adversarial relationship is not a good idea?
You can get into like analysis paralysis, looking at all the different options, right? And I think going back to like this response we had, it's like they chose it, right? And went down that path. It's like you didn't lose, you learned a lot. And so now if you had to make another decision, what would you do? 12G SDI, whatever you're going to do. But if you need to do an AV over IP solution, would the landscape look different now, knowing what you know for having learned how to make NDI work? Don't know. To me, the knowledge is power there and is valuable because you learn what works, what doesn't work, and what pain points you have.
Yeah, if it was a constructive exercise, then yes, you would have way more information, way more, for lack of a better term, ammunition for the next time you need to go light up a building to do this sort of thing. I'm not saying it's a great idea, but no, you can do that anytime.
You take a
plug that thing in there, power that on, kapow. So
HD base T is going to run faster than AVB though.
That is interesting. We're kind of still back to this like baseband versus broadband thing, and we still find that baseband video, not just video, but video and audio in most places, still the way to go.
It has
pound for pound, dollar for dollar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, with all this new stuff coming out, it's even pushed that price point down lower. So you can now do things that are tried and true for less cost. So it's at what point? I don't know. There's something inherently more complicated about needing to have network and IP structure and all this other stuff to do things that don't really ask you to need to have that in the first place.
Well, it's also kind of semi-ironic that the primary advantage to a true, let's just say like a facility-wide AV over IP system would be because I'm going to gain this flexibility, I'm going to gain this capability, I'm going to gain all these things. But yet that means I need to have that underlying structure built out to support that when I can just go do it with the tried and true all day long. So it's not reliable enough to. It's kind of a weird dichotomy. I need the facility to. All right, the advantage of doing it is in this big facility, but I need a big facility to run, so I'm going to put the tried and true in there, and yeah.
One of the fallacies too is, especially in production houses, is that we can bring Studio C into Studio A.
Yeah.
And they never do.
Can also do it with a big old router too.
Mm-hmm. But I think we're all kind of guilty of it. Like I've even said it on the show where it's like, I don't want to get down to like the single cable connector ever. Like
no, I think that's part of the dream, though, right?
But it is. But
I did it.
We almost act as if the low voltage contractor will not pull SDI cable. No, I'm only going to put
2 cables. That's not the cut. I'm out of here.
Way. Like what? It's
the same difference. Effort to pull 2 as
exactly.
One.
So I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Watch
filling it twice. 2 cable.
Here I am. Everybody wants to talk about how they're doing. I did it, and now y'all want to bitch about it. I don't go away.
We're just jealous, Jamie. You know that.
Peanut butter and jealous
I'm just
over here.
Really, all I am is about 5 seconds in a zero policy. Zero trust policy away from being fired is what I am.
Yep.
Zero trust will solve all these problems for you. Don't worry about it. You'll
Inherent risk.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. That's going to happen at some level. There will be someone like you'll get a note updating all switches to zero trust model. Sunday morning 6 a.m. and you'll go, all right, cool. Wait, what? By the way, the following 40 classrooms are down. Potentially unrelated.
No coincidence. We didn't do anything. We just pushed some updates.
With no solution.
Kaput.
But there was a new firmware rev, Mark. It said update. I clicked it. It said, would you like to apply to all your switches? I said yes.
Well, the good news is all of my devices are capable of running on a zero trust network. Not at all, but they're capable. They are not trusted.
Are you suggesting you don't trust your zero trust?
They're not trusted.
You buy shit from Walmart and Sam's Club. There's no way the manufacturers you're buying are up on zero trust. It's not happening.
You know what?
I don't believe
my microphone hasn't quit today.
Mine either. My video hasn't either.
I'm running. I figured out.
And I'm running
first time in months
with Dante.
That's exactly what we need though for all our meeting rooms. More NDI for our cameras.
Yeah,
people have to
solve all the problems.
It's going to solve everything.
Actually, that would solve your meeting problems. Sorry, room's down again. Don't know.
Room's down. We're not having the meeting.
Just go back to your office. Just go back to your office.
Use the built-in webcam.
Just run this. I tried to get them to deploy all of the NDI tools to everybody's server and to computer image, and they just run it themselves. Why not? I mean, let them choose whichever of the 500 cameras I have deployed. Just let them choose whichever one they want today.
Hey, look at all the cameras in here.
I can do anything.
It's great.
Which one is me?
That exercise.
I do not do that, folks. I don't do that. All right.
Yeah, they get the Brady Bunch view of every classroom and conference room on campus. Where are we now?
Just pick
The
that
problem
one. That one's
is-
close
And if you
Yeah.
did it right, Jamie, you named them all not by the room and location. You named them all
Name them
just
all
like
your MAC address or something.
1, 2, 3.
Right?
It's just my MAC address. Good luck with that.
Hey, that's a physical address that never changes. It makes
Yeah,
perfect
it'll
sense.
be unique, and you can figure it out. It's no problem.
Well,
and
we'll provide you the
enable
spreadsheet.
direct
Just go and
control
find your
for the-
own.
Just
piece. That's it,
cross-reference it on this
for the
page. It's
PGZ.
fine.
And
that server's
in fact, I
down.
want them to go ahead and use up to 7 or 8 instances of like studio monitors, so that their NIC is getting hit with 850 megabits per second. Good luck with your Zoom call.
Trying to watch
Why
this
does my teams
webinar?
keep dropping out? Weird. All right. Any last thoughts on NDI?
Besides, you're doing it wrong.
Is it on
And
life
I'm not
support?
an ex-
I think it's going to be
I'm
around. I
not
don't think
an
it's going
expert,
anywhere.
but-
Yeah.
It's not going.
No, I think it
dead.
definitely has its place. It's widespread enough, and it's adopted by enough manufacturers. It's going to be around for a long, long time, but it's not going to be the end all be all, and it's probably never going to play well with most enterprise networks.
Nope.
Yeah.
The church market will continue to use it.
Thank God.
Literally
Exactly.
every Sunday
And high
morning,
schools.
3 times. You guys think I'm
And
in
the
high school?
occasional Wednesday.
Sometimes on Saturday night too,
Sometimes Saturday night and Wednesdays.
and
Thursday,
Wednesday night,
Tuesday,
depending on your
Monday.
denomination.
Bunch of lapsed Catholics on here.
Go to church.
Y'all need Jesus. All right, thanks everybody. We'll pick this up next month and do some nonsense then. Wait, next week, not next month. No, 2 weeks, whatever. Well, we've managed to ruin yet another episode of AV Super Friends Off the Rails. You can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com. If you complain loud enough, we might just invite you on the show.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV Super Friends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.
Nonsense.
And where's this one? Ooh, I like that one.
Are we pausing? Are we still going?
No, we're still going. I'm just hitting buttons.
We're still in the show.
There we go.
Take
we're
that
back.
damn machine away from him.
This is what happens.
Something's still playing. Where is it?
Chris has forgot to take in his ADD medicine today.
You remind me of like the first time freshman
ADHD.
DJ on the college station. They were
With all the
found
stuff.
the
Like
soundboard.
all the buttons you're hitting all at once.
I'm just doing callbacks here. All right. What the hell are we doing here?
There's notes.
We're trashing meeting rooms, is what
Yes,
we're doing.
we are.